This is the Neil Thomas Show. I am your host, Neil Thomas, and welcome. I'd like to start off today's show by doing something I don't normally do. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're listening to this. And I want to thank you. Give a big hi to all the patriots out there. I know that I come off a bit negative at times, and I'd like to assure you that I am not a negative person. I still believe that this is the greatest country on the planet. It is the greatest country to have ever been created, and it still has a positive future. I see some negatives, I bring out the negatives, and we need to discuss them. So thank you again to all the patriots out there, and let's begin the show. So we're going to start off talking about this woman, this teacher in California, Kalunda Jenkins. She turns out that she is a assistant professor of English at Los Angeles Southwest College. And if you've seen the video, I'm going to play the audio for a moment. But if you've seen this, you will be not surprised at all that this woman is a far leftist teacher, and that she's I don't know how else to put it other than that she's a racist. She's a horrible human being, and the way that she treated a cop in this video, she should be ashamed. I'm not calling out for this woman to be fired. I know a lot of people may be surprised about that, but that is part of the cancel culture that the left has brought about. I will not do the same thing. I do, however, have a problem with this type of person, this type of evil, nasty person teaching children. At least it's a college. I mean, I guess you know what you get when you send your kids to these far leftist colleges.
Yes, you are, ma'am. Good morning.
And the speed limit is 40, and I was going 38. So why are you harassing me?
You are correct. I pulled you over because
you're a murderer.
Because
yes, I started to record because
you can't
you're a murderer.
You can't be on your cell phone while you're driving.
I wasn't on my phone. I was recording you because you scared me.
You can't use your cell phone while you're recording.
I can record you.
May I have your driver's license?
It's at my apartment.
What's your apartment?
It's at my home. I'm just taking my son to his.
Do you have your driver's license?
I mistakenly left it at home.
Do you have a picture of your driver's license?
Yes, I do.
May I have it?
And can you call your supervisor, please?
I already did. He's on his way.
Good, because you're a murderer.
Okay.
And so you're giving me a cell phone ticket? Is that why you're harassing me?
Not harassment. Yeah. I am enforcing the law.
I have a right to record the police when they're harassing me.
By all means, but you can't do it while you're driving.
I wasn't texting or none of that.
Do you have that picture?
You scared me and made me think you were going to murder me.
Okay, well, I'm sorry you feel that way.
Well, that's not just a feeling. You're a murderer.
Okay. Can you zoom in on that for me,
Sure.
Dear? Thank you.
And I'm perfectly legal, and I'm a teacher. So there.
Congratulations.
Murderer. You're a murderer.
What's your last name? I can't see that there.
Well,
if
here you
stop,
go,
Stop
murderer.
shaking. Zoom in on that for me,
No,
ma'am.
because you're scaring me.
Oh,
You're threatening to kill me and my son. Can you give me
okay.
the
I'll tell you what, you keep smiling, you're on camera.
You're trying to threaten to kill me.
I
I'm
didn't
not
say
smiling.
that.
You're the one who's crazy.
Hold that still, I can't see that. Is this your car?
Yes, it is. And you're trying to say I stole my own car because you're jealous?
Yeah,
Is that what
I don't
that's
think
about?
so. You wait for me right here, okay?
You're jealous?
Citation, all you need to do is your signature. He's only citing you for using your cell phone while you're driving. That's it.
Here you go, ma'am. Sign inside the red box right
For
there.
him being a Mexican racist. What is that name? Gas.
It's on the citation, ma'am.
Here you go, Mexican racist. You're always going to be a Mexican. You'll never be white. You know that, right? You'll never be white, which is what you really want to be.
There you
wanna
go,
be
dear.
White.
Have a good day.
You want to be white.
Could you imagine having to deal with that in your line of work every day? That officer, I don't know that I could have taken that type of abuse and been as professional as he was. I don't know what I would have done. A couple of things that we're going to want to point out here. One, her child was in the car. She went on a racist rant on this cop with her child in the car. What is that teaching children? What is that teaching this next generation? Also, something that everybody probably doesn't know is that the police department that this officer, this very professional officer works for, does not supply body cams. This officer took his own money and bought this body cam to protect himself. What a lot of people don't know is that most of the time when body cams are used, and the vast majority of time, it shows that the police did the right thing. I mean, this is where we're at in the country right now, that this type of behavior is acceptable. This is what, and I blame the media. I blame the media that keeps this lie, this narrative alive, that police officers are out hunting black people, or that they're out doing something intentionally to kill unarmed black people, which simply isn't the case. Could you imagine waking up every day knowing that you had to go and you had to deal with these type of things? You know, this incident happened just a few days after the Ma'Khia Bryant shooting. The girl in Columbus who decided to try to stab another girl and was shot by a police officer to stop the stabbing. The media in this case, or at least some of the media, completely left out the part about the girl having a knife. Instead, they simply reported that a white cop shot a 16-year-old black girl in Columbus and that BLM was rioting. How irresponsible is that? How irresponsible and stupid are you to not tell the full story when you know the full story? This was a clear-cut case of an officer doing the right thing, saving a life. And because of that, now we have these pathetic, racist, radical people on the left doing things like this to police officers. And there's no reason for no reason for anybody to put up with this type of harassment and racism. My ability to be able to handle the hypocrisy and the ignorance of the left is waning. We have seen and watched the left push for more government control of private businesses. They want more control of corporations. They want full-blown socialism. Let's just say what it is. The left has become radicalized at its roots. When you have representatives like AOC who are being taken seriously by the majority of your party, you cannot be taken serious anymore. You are not a mainstream party. You are a fringe party. And unfortunately, that fringe has taken over this country. That fringe has a lot of power right now. So Facebook has decided that they are going to extend, I don't know if it's permanent, but they're going to extend the ban on ex-President Donald Trump. The response from the left is simply that they are a private company and they can do as they wish. They can ban who they want. Well, that's obviously hypocrisy, seeing how they've been pushing for this type of decision-making and discrimination to be illegal for decades now. But when is the left-wing hypocrisy ever surprised anyone? But being that I am on the right, I am not going to be a hypocrite. Facebook does have the right to ban people simply because they're conservatives. And let's say it what it is. That's what they're doing. They are banning people on the right. That being said, they don't need federal protection then. Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act is a piece of internet legislation. This is not a new legislation. It's actually from 1996. What this does is provides immunity from liability for providers and users of an interactive computer service, social media, who publish information provided by third-party users. In other words, Facebook and Twitter cannot be sued because of content put on their services. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and all the rest of them want to be able to openly discriminate against anybody they want, but they don't want any type of legal action to be brought upon them for anything that they do. I am 100% okay with social media blocking who they want. I don't agree with it, but if they choose to continue to ban and harass those on the right, that's, I guess, their right to do, but we need to repeal Section 230. If this is the way that social media wants to go, and this is what they want to do, they want to push left-wing agenda and silence the voice of those on the right, then we shouldn't be paying, or we shouldn't have legislation to keep them safe, to keep them from lawsuits. And the biggest reason that Facebook and Twitter and the rest of social media wants to keep Section 230 active is because they know they can't win these lawsuits. Could you imagine Trump bringing Twitter into court and saying, you have unfairly blocked my account, and Twitter coming back, well, you violated our terms of services, and Trump's attorneys listing out tweet after tweet after tweet from those on the left who have done the same and worse? There is no way they would win that lawsuit. A lot of those people that want to keep Section 230 active say that it would be the end of social media, say that it would be too difficult for those companies to be able to monitor their services. And maybe I'm a bit spiteful, but I just don't care. From somebody on the right who has been constantly shut down, attacked, blocked, banned, blacklisted, whatever you want to call it, you don't see any empathy from me. If this hurts them, if it hurts their bottom line, if it causes them some legal issues, that's fine. They brought it upon themselves. They decided they were going to openly attack half this country. When and if we get Section 230 repealed, they're going to have to deal with that. So until my social media gets removed because I am right-wing, I do have an active voice on both Facebook and Twitter. Please reach out to me at Neil Thomas Show and let me know what you think. But I would like to read a tweet that I saw and decided to retweet out for everyone. This was originally a reply to an ABC report on Derek Chauvin. This Twitter handle, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, Waiter Isis or something. Isis, that's shocking. Waiter Iris said, Derek did not like the guilty verdict. Now his attorney requests another trial, waiting for a different outcome. Obviously, English is not high on this individual's priority list. Derek, you kill a man by stepping on his neck, white boy, and now the country found you guilty. My response was, and this comment is why Derek Chauvin should get a new trial. It's not the country's job to convict. It's up to 12 jurors and the evidence. That's it. It's scary that people like this exist in the world, that they don't understand that this type of hatred brought to you by the ignorance and incompetence of the media creates this narrative that people think it's okay. And now this discussion had to do with the possible retrial of Derek Chauvin because of the inability to give him an impartial jury. Now, you can blame whoever you want for that, but it's very difficult to say that he did get a fair trial. Now we have some pictures that have come out of one of the jurors in that trial, Brandon Mitchell, who was at a protest with a t-shirt on saying, get your knee off our necks. He was also the juror who has gone on multiple different talk shows talking about the process and how he thought that it brought forth justice to the system. Brandon was asked, do you or someone close to you participate in any of the demonstrations or marches against police brutality that took place in Minneapolis after George Floyd's death? He said no. The second question asks, other than what you have already described above, have you or anyone close to you participated in protests about police use or force of police brutality? He again said no. He lied on these questionnaires, and he was obviously a biased juror. No matter what you think about Derek Chauvin, he is an American and has the constitutional right to a fair trial. He did not receive that fair trial. I have some audio here from Brandon at one of his many talk show appearances.
Before we wrap, many people don't like jury duty and probably wouldn't respond to the letter that you get in the mail. So what message would you leave to those about saying yes to jury duty?
I mean, it's important. If we want to see some change, we want to see some things going differently, we got to get out there and get into these avenues and get in these rooms to try to spark some change. And that's one of the jury duty is one of the things. Jury duty, voting, all of those things are things we got to do.
Jury duty is not an avenue for change. Jury duty is not a avenue for social justice or for Black Lives Matter or for whatever left-wing cause you have. Jury duty is serious business, and your job is simply to interpret the evidence and come up with a verdict. I have no love for Derek Chauvin. I think what he did was repugnant. Derek Chauvin, however, deserves a fair trial. And what the media, especially the left-wing media, has done is making it impossible for police in this country to get a fair trial. They are instantly considered guilty. They are instantly considered racist. And it's impossible to break through that narrative and to give them a fair trial. Imagine that it was the opposite and that there was a juror who hung the jury and Derek Chauvin was let go because of some preconceived biases. There would be absolute chaos. There would be riots in the streets. And this person would likely be in fear for their life. But because this person decided to use the jury box to enact some sort of social justice rather than actual legal justice, no one seems to be too bothered by that. You know, we have this NBC host, Lester Holt, who decided to say fairness is overrated. Lester has twisted the narrative multiple times in reference to the Derek Chauvin case. When the request for the retrial by Chauvin's attorneys came out, he did air the decision from those attorneys, but decided to leave out any information as to why they wanted a retrial other than he simply doesn't want to go to jail. See, leaving out these facts about the lack of an impartial jury is going to cause problems. These NBC viewers that don't do their homework are going to be very confused and probably pretty upset when Chauvin does get a new trial and they don't understand why. Mr. Holt, you have a responsibility to tell the truth. You have a responsibility because there are consequences for your actions. What you're doing is wrong. You know, I didn't see the media calling out President Biden when he said that the country is still digging out of an economic collapse amid the coronavirus pandemic, but that the U.S. is still on the right track, as the administration reported that the economy just created 266,000 jobs in April and saw more rising unemployment. We're not still digging out, we are plummeting. The economy is not doing well, and Biden is getting a pass. No one in the media is calling him out. No one on the media other than those in the right-wing media, who, of course, is constantly accused of not telling the truth. Just because you don't like what you hear doesn't mean it's a lie. The economy is faltering. Joe Biden, the President of the United States, is faltering. And of course, the media is going to do everything they can to protect Biden, to protect his administration. But of course, this is nothing new. This is what normally happens when you have far left Democrats in control. The media loves them, protects them, and helps them along the way. So what do we do? Where do we go from here? We have a midterm election coming up. We have a lot of work to do between now and 2024. And we have to make some ground up. We have to make some strides. We need some new faces. We need some powerful conservative voices to bring this country back to the correct direction. Tim Scott is one of those voices. There's talk about DeSantis running in 2024. It doesn't matter to me. We just need these voices to be heard, and it's going to be a difficult job. I'm going to do my part on my end. I'm going to keep reminding people that this is a great country and that conservative voices are the right voices and that we need to get the country back on track. We will dig out of this recession. We will get through this coronavirus stuff, and we will be the country we once were. Thank you guys, and I appreciate you listening.